Hey guys, Chicago injury lawyer Scott DeSalvo here, and in today's video we're going to talk about what to know and what to do if you got injured and the doctor is telling you that there is nerve damage, okay? So, that's a pretty scary topic when a doctor says something like that to you, and a lot of times people tell you when you go to the doctor, especially if it's something serious or if you're worried about it or whatever, you got a family member who's a nurse or a doctor or something like that, they say it's always a good idea to bring somebody so you got a second pair of ears and you got another brain to ask follow-up questions. So it's easy if a doctor tells you you got nerve damage. It's scary, right? Because what do we associate with nerve damage, right? We associate paralysis, not being able to walk, not being able to move our arms or legs. So it's a very serious situation. But here's what you need to know, okay? When the doctor says nerve, it could be any number of things, right? So when you have a neck or back injury, you can have nerve compression or nerve irritation from a neck or back injury because the bony vertebrae are cushioned and they make a space. There's discs that are soft material like a little gel sac, and they're between each bony vertebrae in your neck, mid, and low back. And those gel packs called discs push the bone vertebrae apart, right? And when they're pushed apart, that allows the nerves to go out to the various parts of your body. They pass through holes in the vertebrae that are made and kept large by those discs, right? So what happens is in a neck or back injury, you can have some arthritis on the bones, which means the bones are growing, and you have loss of disc height, which is natural as you age. But if you're in that situation and you have a car crash or a fall down or any kind of violent or even not so violent incident where you twist and turn or have sudden whiplash or acceleration or deceleration, you can blow that disc out, right? So, like in the schoolyard, you see little kids sneaking up behind each other and pushing each other as hard as they can. You don't see that in an old folks' home because everybody knows that when you get older, your body starts drying out and those discs start drying out. When you're young and your discs are healthy and, hydrated and all that, your body can withstand those. But when you have arthritis and discs that are old, you don't see old people shoving each other and running away laughing like lunatics like kids do, because we all know that as we get older, or if God forbid you got an old neck or back injury, any kind of insult to the spine like that can cause a compression of a nerve. Now, what are we talking about? A compression of a nerve or an irritation of a nerve? Well, listen, that can be very serious, or it can also just be temporary, okay? I will tell you, most people who have what a doctor suspects is compression or suspects is nerve irritation due to a neck or back injury, a lot of that goes away with therapy and time, and sometimes you need an injection to quiet the nerve irritation down and help it heal, right? So just because a doctor says nerve irritation, nerve compression, it doesn't necessarily mean you're headed for major surgery or that it's permanent, right? Now listen, it can be permanent, okay? But the main thing to remember is you have to have clarity about exactly what your doctor is saying, and you have to have clarity on exactly what they want to do, okay? Now, this is the other topic I want to talk to you about. When a doctor says there's nerve compression or irritation or nerve damage, you can have nerve damage from a crush injury. I see this in like a hand injuries a lot, like if somebody's hand get crushed, or whether they can have a serious nerve injury after a surgery or things of that nature. And the main thing is, usually doctors will tell you if there actually is a nerve injury, if there's an ongoing compression, like they're saying a nerve is pinched in your neck and that's why you're having terrible pain down your neck, into your shoulder, down your arm, where you have weakness and everything else. Well, in certain circumstances, surgery a surgery right away is very important. It's called a laminectomy or discectomy, where discectomy is where they go in and basically shave bone off, cut some bone out of your vertebrae so that there's a big enough space for the nerve to go through. Now, sometimes that's important and it's an emergency, because if the nerve is being compressed for an extended period of time, it can permanently damage the nerve or even kill the nerve if the compression is bad enough, okay? So that's why doctors screen for what they call radicular symptoms that seem like maybe it's just the shoulder going into the arm, but what's really happening is the nerve is getting pinched in the neck, and then it's going all the way down the arm. Doctors screen for that very seriously, because if you've got a serious nerve compression in your neck or your back or anywhere, and you got radicular pain that's going down a body part but starting somewhere else, if the compression is serious, that can cause serious problems for you if it's injuring or killing the nerve, right? So you want to get that compression off that nerve as fast as possible, which is why they might push you to do surgery. Now, in my experience, the most common is that lesser neck or back surgery called a laminectomy, or really a discectomy is what I'm talking about. They can also suggest a fusion, where they actually put hardware in your neck to move the vertebrae apart, and you're going to have a permanent loss of some range of motion, but it will definitely take the compression off the nerve, no question. But, a fusion is a more serious and permanent surgery, and doctors do that on an emergency basis as more of a last resort, okay? So what should you do? The first thing you have to ask is this an emergency? Am I in the type of emergency surgery situation where you need to go in and do a surgery right away? And if so, again, bring somebody with you who can hear what the doctor has to say. When we're listening to those kinds of things about ourselves, it's important to bring somebody who can listen and ask follow-up questions, because we're probably, whether you know it or not, you're probably freaked out about it. Whether you admit it to yourself or whether you even perceive that it's got you a little scared, it's probably happening. So have somebody go there. So that's the first question. Is it an emergency? Like, do I got to rush into surgery right now? Now, the next thing is, if the doctors don't think it's an emergency, if they don't think it's a nerve compression, okay, if they just think that it is like damage to the nerve due to the trauma of the injury and that you've got to wait, that's my advice, okay? They have medications that can quiet down nerve pain, and they have treatment, and they might give you therapy to improve blood supply to that area so that the nerve can heal. Now, if somebody punches you in the thigh when you were a kid, or if you played sports, you got a real bad bruise or something like that in your thigh or in your arm or your shoulder, when you're young, you bounce back, right? Within a week or two, you're probably feeling just fine. You may have a little bit of residual bruising, but nerves heal much slower than that, right? So usually doctors say you got to wait about a year to have some idea about how much healing you're going to get from a nerve injury. And your outcome from a nerve injury can go from all the way from, you can have like a minor nerve injury where there's tingling or loss of sensation, all the way to paralysis, right? And another bad one is, with a nerve injury, is that nerve can be shooting off pain impulses 24 hours a day, right? And then you end up as a chronic pain patient. You're not going to know what your outcome from a nerve injury is for about a year. But, depending on how serious the symptoms are, you need to be in with a neurologist or a pain doctor who's aggressive about helping you, okay? Because you shouldn't have to live with nerve pain, and if there is a functional problem, like let's say it's a nerve problem down your arm and you're having grip strength problem, you need to be in therapy. You need to be monitored by doctors and working on that problem so that you can get back and you're doing everything in your power to wake that nerve up and heal it, right? And that's where working with a doctor who is familiar with nerve injuries and those protocols and the latest medications, that's what you need. The last thing I want to mention is, occasionally when somebody has a condition that you can't operate on, like a nerve damage, you can't operate on nerve damage usually. I mean, there's things you can do. One is called RF ablation. It's where they use radio waves to sever parts of a nerve if it's shooting intractable pain. They only do that in certain circumstances, and I've had clients who had it and it helped them a lot. And then the next thing is, if you really have permanent intractable pain, they can put a spinal cord stimulator. And what a spinal cord stimulator does is it's actually inside your body. It's in there permanently. I mean, they have to change the battery and change the actual device every few years. But what it does is it shoots a little bit of electricity into the nerve so that you're not getting those constant pain signals, right? So I spoke with a young man who, well, to me he's a young man. I'm in my 50s now. He's in his 30s. He seems like a pretty young guy to me, but in part of my brain I'm still 25 or 35. But every time I do work on my house all weekend like I did this weekend, believe me, my body and my energy levels let me know that I'm not 25 or 35 anymore. That's for sure. But anyway, I digress. This young man had a very serious crush injury to his leg, and he has a spinal cord stimulator, and it worked so well for him that without the spinal cord stimulator, he can barely walk, and he can't stand the pain. With the spinal cord stimulator, he's back at work doing like a relatively physical job without a problem. Like, is he as good as he was before? No. But he goes to work every day. His job involves walking around, and remember, this is a leg injury, right? So in his case, in his use case, the spinal cord stimulator, even though it can't be cured, and even though we're going to have to wait a couple of years to see how much that nerve heals on its own, that spinal cord stimulator, along with medication, has allowed him to go back to work, live his life. He can go to the park and play with his kids. He can do so many things. So, 100 years ago, if you had a permanent spine problem, boy, you're in trouble. 100 years ago, if you had a broken bone, you'd probably die of an infection. My point is, even if you do have a permanent nerve injury, you need two things. One is an excellent doctor who's familiar with the latest treatments and medications and protocols. And the other thing is, you need a lawyer who knows how to deal with these cases, right? You need a lawyer who knows how it works, who understands the medicine, who understands the treatment, who will talk to your doctor and make your case as strong as you can possibly make it. And when you have a strong case, that means the insurance company gets afraid and they offer money. And they offer good money, and they offer what you're supposed to get. As I've said in my other videos, if insurance companies call the shots on injury cases, and if they are not nervous or afraid, you are not going to get a fair shake from them. So that's how all of that works. Looks like my camera lens is dirty, so this is going to, I think, be a really cloudy video, but I'm releasing it anyway. Folks, this is not Hollywood. This is tired Scott, who worked on his crummy house all weekend, and is going to go put in about 12 hours at the law office and then go work about 3 hours on his crummy house after work. So sorry for the the blurry lens. I think I have a smear of dirt over the lens on my camera, so sorry about that. But anyway, my point is, working with a good lawyer who communicates, who's a hard worker, who's a hustler, and who does what needs to get done to prove these cases is invaluable. So that's what you need. That's what you need. You need somebody like that. So anyway, if you or a loved one is dealing with nerve pain due to an accident or injury, or if you know anybody who's involved in any kind of accident or injury caused by somebody else, whether it be a work injury, car crash, dog bite, bar fight, nursing home abuse, hospital mistake, doctor mistake, fall down, you name it. If it's an injury case caused or partially caused by somebody else, I'm your guy. Please consider referring me the case. You can reach me at 312-8 I'm sorry, 312-500-4500. I was about to give you my office line. That's 312-500-4500. You can call that number anytime, night or day. That line always gets picked up by people I have personally trained to ask you the questions I need so that when I call you back, we can have an intelligent conversation right off the bat, okay? So thank you for watching. I appreciate any calls you give me, any referrals you give me. That's how I make my money. And if you're not ready to talk to a lawyer, I have 2 really cool tools on my website. I have a ton of cool stuff on my website, resources for you. But the 2 I'm talking about right now is the Case Cash Calculator. Tells you whether you might have a good case or a bad case. And the Good Case Calculator tells you whether you might have a good case or whether you just might have a case with some challenges that you really need to know about. Both of those quizzes are 100% free. Share them with friends, no obligation, free to use. Use them as many times as you want. Share them with whomever you want, no obligation. And the cool part is you get customized information about your situation in 20 seconds flat, all without talking to a lawyer. I built them that way specifically to help injured people who aren't ready to talk to a lawyer. I'm leaving the links in the description. Finally, if you like my videos, please subscribe. Give me a thumbs up so YouTube knows you like my video, and hit the bell icon if you decide to subscribe. Last thing is, if you enjoy my information, it helps you at all, or if you're a current or former client or anyone I've ever given a consultation to, and you wouldn't mind doing me a favor, I make it real easy. I'm leaving a link in the description where you can give me a 5-star review on Google. Really helps me. Very competitive market, super easy to do. You just go to the website. In the description down there, takes you right to the page. Click 5 stars, say a kind word, hit submit. 5 or 10 seconds of work for you, but a favor to me that I will always appreciate and I will never forget. But if you don't feel comfortable doing it, that's okay too. We'll still be friends, and you're still welcome to watch all of my more than 200 injury videos on my YouTube channel that I shoot for injured people so they know how all of this stuff works. Once again, thank you for watching. I appreciate your viewership. I appreciate your friendship, and let me know if you or anybody you know needs an injury lawyer. You can reach me anytime, night or day, 312-500-4500. Thanks for watching. Hope you and the family are well. And with that, I will say goodbye. Thanks again. Have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.